Yeah, okay, so the High Priestess is the card I just pulled, and what a beautiful card this is. Along with the Adelita of Earth. Again, the Hayas are pages, Adelitas are knights, Madres are queens, and Curanderas are kings. So that's the Knight of Pentacles. I think stabilizing, for some of you, it's going to be about focusing on deeper knowledge. For some of you that are in the spiritual community, this is going to hit home. You know, focusing on expanding your psychic and intuitive gifts. Yeah, with the Page of Cups, that's transmuted energy. Earlier we had the Page of Cups in reverse, and some of you wanted to speak your voice about ways that people block their ability to create, right? I talk about how if you want to transmute energy, create. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you just, especially those of you that are going through the dark night of the soul portion of a spiritual awakening, you might feel kind of like that Four Cups energy. It feels like a lot of the part of the community I'm talking to today have been following along thus far, or are going to go back and check out the readings from this year, because we have had quite a spiritual quest this year through the tarot. And I feel like a lot of you were kind of in this complacent zone. Maybe some of you were just so burnt out from life experiences that you couldn't really focus on your spiritual intuitive side. And now some of you are finally getting a chance to. Some of you are moving towards maybe your new union is with spirit or your higher self. Again, the High Priestess can represent not only the guide, the seer, the highly psychic, intuitive person, it can represent the deep, the hidden, right? It's the card of Pisces. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac, also represented by the Hanged Man and the Moon in the tarot. So going deep into your more emotional nature, especially with the Page of Cups, revisiting, I think we talked about this a couple readings back, where revisiting things that used to creatively bring you happiness when you were a child, simple pleasures. This card here is ruled by chamomile, and chamomile not only helps calm you down and make you feel good, it also attracts happiness and abundance. And again, if you are setting intentions or you're manifesting, make sure that you state that you're bringing in positive abundance. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, you also know that you can transmute anything into positive abundance energetically. Wow, and then I pull the Hanged One in reverse, so the Hanged Man in reverse, which we were just talking about that being another Pisces card. Now, the dark side of Pisces is getting stuck in illusions, getting stuck in only dreamlike states, but not being a part of the actual physical motion, right? Because Pisces is water, Pisces is feeling, deep, emotional, sensitive, creative, expressive. And this card, it's like either you've had perspective changes about how you used to create or what used to bring you happiness as a child, and you're slowly working towards that. You're creating some kind of foundation, some kind of journey. You're slowly going towards either this new perspective or this new way of life. For some of you, you do need to experience a spiritual journey. I think we talked about that in the more fiery representation in the last reading, talking about how some of you might actually be pursuing actual spiritual quests and journeys with the King of Wands emphasis in the last reading. This is more of the sacred spiritual, and I mean that's a quest too, a spiritual journey in that way. That can be more of an adventure, you know what I'm saying? This is more about going inward. This is more about doing an inner quest, right? So going to the depths. And this is something you're slowly building and creating. Maybe some kind of spiritual practice where you can be in tune with yourself and nature. Interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. Woo! Oh, I just got chills. Oh my. Okay, I don't know if I want to keep reading into this energy, but this is going to be for a small portion of you. I'm going to read it because my guides are pushing me to, but I'm not liking what I see here. And it's, again, we're kind of looking at advice, right? So we're talking about these creative process. So, all right, I'm just going to tell you, we got the Sun in reverse, we got the Tower in reverse, we got the Fool in reverse, we got the Emperor in reverse, and the only good card in reverse here is the Five of Swords in reverse. And let me tell you, I pre-shuffle and cleanse all my decks, not only after each reading I do, but also before the next reading. And I do set intentions that all messages are for the highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of all, and that they reach who they're meant to. So if you're hearing this, you're meant to hear it. Sometimes you got to read between the lines and look at the synchronicities around the matter of a subject using your High Priestess gifts, using your intuition, in order to be able to see the message that is for you, right? But the Sun in reverse, and this is about unhappiness, about not being seen, about not being recognized. It's possible whatever tower you had in your awakening, whatever huge change, most likely a forced change, has made you realize what you don't want to create anymore, what you don't want to spend your time on. Maybe some of you feel like you're running out of time in some sense, like you don't have the ability to have a new beginning here with the Fool in reverse. Some of you, this is very small, select few of you, but some of you feel like you have no authority in your life with the Emperor in reverse. And that can kind of tie back into the Eight of Swords card earlier, where there seems to be a mental prison that you're keeping yourself in. And it's like not seeing the circumstances for what they really are. It's having a blindfold on, being bound but having free feet, having a cage of swords around you, but there's an opening. All you have to do is feel your way out of it, right? Hence the blindfold, using your intuition. Again, the High Priestess reference here. So for some of you, this is all an illusion. Again, with the Hanged One, that's Pisces, that's Neptune energy, right? The modern day ruler of Pisces is Neptune. The previous was Jupiter, okay? So going from modern astrology. Some of you have been in this illusion that you can't be happy, that chaos will always ensue, that you're never going to have a new beginning, that you have no control over your destiny, and this has sabotaged you a lot in the past. So Spirit's telling you to stop focusing on those beliefs. Again, this could go back to that Queen of Swords and Queen of Wands in reverse cards. Both of them could represent two different feminine figures in your life. One of them that was more intellectual and cold, and one of them that was more angry and fierce, okay? And they could also be previous representations of yourself. Again, it doesn't matter what you identify with. Different energies come into our lives at different times. And I talk a lot about, in my advocacy, overcoming trauma. And I wasn't going to use that word because I don't want to get dinged yet again. But I believe that, again, these messages will end up where they're supposed to go. So, you know, when we get lost in cycles and we end up on loops, a lot of them are old wounds that we need to heal in order to be able to feel successful and confident within ourselves, to be happy, to go after the things we care about. And it is about perspective changes and coming out of illusions. And if somebody has gaslit you in your life, has made you feel like you're not good enough or you don't deserve, first of all, stop listening to those people. If you're part of the community that is still engaging with these characters, it does seem that you need a plan to get out and move on. Like Spirit's telling you very clearly, it's time to move on. We had the Chariot card. We had multiple forward moving new adventures. You're on a quest. Like, just get it. Like, again, the Knight of Wands earlier, that's double fire. That's also the card of Sagittarius. So that is the adventurer. That is somebody who travels long distances and pursues spiritual quests and also overcomes any battle. They're on their way to queendom or kingdom. And right before that is the emperor, or right after that, excuse me, the king is before the emperor, right? And the emperor here is the ultimate authority of your own domain, right? So having the final say in your life, no longer letting other people sabotage you or mess with your thoughts. For some of you, those of you that are on a spiritual path, you may have some idea of psychic attacks, of spiritual warfare, and some of you know how to protect yourselves. And again, if this doesn't apply to you, it's not for you, don't take it. And it's not personal, but I'm trying to cover multiple groups in the collective here, right? If you want a more personal reading, please book with me. Description box has everything you could possibly want. Anyways, so I am in some aspects the Queen of Wands upright. I do fight for other people. That's why I consider myself an advocate, and it's because I come from experience. I've overcome and I've learned how to have the courage within myself in order to lead others, okay? And it seems like for some of you, this spiritual quest, this new creative journey, this discovering your inner child, it's a slow process, but it's totally possible for you. Again, we talked about transmuting, we talked about creativity, and sometimes the simple act of creating is what brings you to that happier state. When you've done something for the simple joy of it, you can see things beyond that simple act. You can see the deeper meaning with gratitude, with appreciation. All right, Spirit, let's pull some more cards. I think they get it. Whoa, hello, stomach. Sorry if you heard that growling. Some of you are very hungry for this new beginning. And 7 of air in reverse, so that's 7 of swords in reverse. So usually 7 of swords is known as like the ghosting card, or it's like somebody stealing something or trying to take something from you. And I think this is further emphasizing that nobody's going to take your new beginning. It happens to be right on top of the Fool card, which is new beginnings, right? And also to stop focusing so hard on strategy, right? You need to feel into it, not think on it. Because again, your thoughts can end up in a cycle. I can't remember which reading it was. It was sometime in May or the end of April. We talked about cycles and how you can tell the difference between intrusive thoughts and your intuition. And we talked about how you know it's your intuition because it'll only come up once. You'll feel it in your gut or your heart space. You'll know it to be true deep down. And your mind will try to argue with that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't use discernment in our intelligence. That's not what I'm saying at all. We're talking about the King of Cups energy here, where we use our wise mind, where we can keep a balance between the different parts of our brain, right? And when you can control your nervous system and come out of these harmful relationships and situations and feel calm and balanced and find harmony within yourself, you can move towards things that you're passionate about. You can develop deeper bonds with people and have stronger, more successful unions like the King and Queen of Pentacles we saw earlier, right? For some of you, that's what it's about, is building that dream life with somebody or within yourself. For some of you, you've already done that and now you're looking to start over in life, looking to be on your own new journey, but you've got a lot of baggage you need to process and heal, and part of the spiritual quest is also part of the emotional quest, right? It is about the soul. And then we got